Hi guys, and welcome to another Elementor video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, we've got another little Elementor hover effect for you today. We've got 3 images here. When you hover over, a little button is going to drop down and allow your visitors to click on it right there. Now we've got to do a bit of coding to achieve this today, but it's really easy to do. And as usual, any code that I write I'll put down below the video and you're welcome to use it as you wish. So let's get started. I've got this page open here. I'm going to add a new row, little red button here. I'm going to put 3 columns in because that's what I've got above. I'm going to go to my little matrix and we want a button for this today, so I'm going to grab a button module. I'm going to just drop it in there like that. I'm not going to spend too much styling your button. Obviously you style your button how you wish. I'm going to put mine in the center here. I'm going to leave it as click here. I'm going to leave it on the default. You can have info, success, warning or danger, which are different colors there. I'm going to leave mine just like that. Obviously put your link in below there. And that's all I'm going to do to the button. So we've got a button there, and what we want to do is put it over the top of an image like this and then manipulate it so it disappears out the top, and when we hover over we'll bring it back in. So as with most of these hover effects that we've been doing with Elementor, we're actually going to put the image in the column behind, which is this dark tab right here, and just have our button element floating on the top. So let's go into our column here, a little dark element there. I'm just simply left clicking and I'm going to add an image background. So I'm going to go up to Style, Background Type. I'm going to hit the little paintbrush and that will allow me to add an image. And just pop in any image that you want there. Okay, and as you can see, we've got our little image background in the back there. I'm going to set mine to cover on the size. You can position it where you want, top left, top center, wherever you want. You can make it scroll or fix. I'm going to leave mine just as it is, and you can have it repeat if you want to. I'm not going to have mine repeat. I just want it as it is, and I want it to cover the size that we want it. Okay. Now we've got a bit of padding. If I hover over this middle one, we've got a bit of padding all around of about 10 pixels. So let's add that to our columns so they stay similar size to our elements that were there originally. So let's go over to our advanced, still on our column here, and I'm going to give it 10 pixels all around in the margin. There we go, and we've got that little border all around it now. Okay. Now I've got the Elementor Pro version installed today, so I can put my custom CSS in this little CSS box right here. For those of you that are using the free version, you'll need to use your theme customizer and put any code in the theme customizer. To get to your theme customizer, go to your dashboard, down to appearance, and then customize. That'll bring you to this page. Hit the additional CSS box right there. And any code that I write in the custom CSS box, you can write in the additional CSS panel here, and it'll do exactly the same thing. So if you're running the free version, this is where you need to put your CSS. Okay, well let's get back to it. To make this work today, we need to give it a class. So we're still in our column. I'm going to go over to Advanced, going to drop down and open it up. And you'll see CSS ID and CSS classes. Let's give this a class of button hover, or just BHOV, which is my shorthand. You can call yours what you want, but it's got to be unique and it really wants to mean something to you. Okay, so we've given it a class of BHOV. I'm going to go to my custom CSS box, and remember, free version people, go to your additional CSS panel. Okay, so we gave it a class name. All class names have a dot or period in front, and the name was BHOV for button hover. Let's open and close some curly brackets here. And the first thing I really want to do is make this image taller, as tall as we want, so we can see as much of it as we want. So I'm going to give it a fixed height. I think I used 400 with these above. They seem to work quite well. So I'm going to write height 400 pixels. And obviously you adjust yours to what works for you, and as you can see, that's automatically zipped that down to 400 pixels for us. which is great. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pop this little button up the top here and make it disappear, so it's going to fall out of our column right there. And to make sure that we can't see it, I need to add a line of code to hide any overflow. So I'm going to say overflow colon hidden semicolon. That way when I push that button past that image there, or even past here, it'll actually disappear rather than just sitting up here. Fantastic. Okay, well now we've got to actually create the movement, and we're going to do that on the button. Remember, we're still working in our column at the moment. So I'm going to go into my button now. Just click on the little blue tab. As you can see, it says edit button. And we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to give this a class name so we can write some code. So I'm going to go over to the advanced. I'm going to give it a class name again. So I'm going to call this BTHOV. Slightly different from the other one, but it still tells me it's a button hover sort of shorthand. And again, I'm going to go down to my custom CSS panel here. And remember, free version people, customizer, you need to put yours right here. Okay. We gave it the class of BTHOV, so it's BTHOV. Remember to put your dot or your period in front or it won't work. Open and close some curly brackets. And what do we want it to actually do? Well, initially I want it to be out the way, so I'm going to move it up by about 100 pixels up the top here. And I'm going to do that by using negative margin. So I'm going to say margin top. I'm going to say negative 100 pixels. And it's disappeared, as you can see. And it's actually sitting right about here, and the reason it's disappeared is because we used that overflow hidden command so you can't see it. Great. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this whole thing, the class name, and a little bit of code there. I'm going to drop down a couple. And we want to bring it back when we hover. To create a hover state, right after the V of button hov there, put a colon, no space after the V, and no space after the colon, and the word hover. And we can enter some different settings for our hover state. So now the margin top, I want to bring it down to about here. I know this is 400, so let's try just a regular 200 pixels. Should bring it kind of halfway. It's going to have the actual size of the button in the way. I'm going to take that negative away there. So we've got positive 200. And that's only going to happen when we hover over it. Now nothing's happened, and the reason nothing's happened is because our button's up here, and so I can't trigger it. Now to fix that, I'm going to give it sort of 500 pixels padding on the bottom, so the button's actually got 500 pixels padding down below it that we can use to trigger our hover effect. So I'm just going to add the padding to the bottom here. I'm going to say padding, and I know that's 400, so I'm going to give it 500. It doesn't matter because there's overflow hidden at the bottom, so it doesn't matter. Now when I actually hover over it, our button pops down there because we're using the padding to actually trigger the hover effect. Now that's a little bit too low, so let's take 50 away. Let's say margin top 150. There we go. That's pretty much good enough. I mean, it's not exactly central, but it's good enough to me. Obviously you can readjust to how you like yours. Now what's happening here is the button's not there. Then when we're hovering over it, it's suddenly just appearing. It's because the actual change in margin is happening instantly. So let's just slow it down for a bit of drama, and it'll look more like a fade. So we're going to use transition duration for that. Transition dash duration. And I'm going to use 3/4 of a second, or at 0.7 seconds. So I'm going to say 0.7 seconds. Now when I hover over, it's much more gradual. It's just sort of dropping in casually like that. And that's a nice little effect right there. So we're good to go. And to duplicate this, to get another 3, just simply copy your button module, pull it across to the other here, put your image in the background, and just give your column the same class name as this, and everything should work exactly the same. In fact, let's just demonstrate that. So I'm going to left click, I'm going to duplicate. Doesn't matter which one we drag across, they're both exactly the same. Let's put it in this third one over here. So we've got our button in place already. Let's go into our column. We've got to give it the same setting. So in the advanced, I'm going to give it 10 pixels margin all around. I'm going to go to the style and add the image. Now, as you can see, it sort of made it huge. So we just need to give our column now that class name that we gave this one over here, which was bhov. We'll pop it into this class name here. Make sure you're in the right one. Advanced CSS class. Boom. And you can see it's instantly transformed to the same as the other. And obviously just rinse and repeat for more. So let's save our changes, make sure everything's going to work on the front end. Hit the little preview changes eyeball button. And there we are, there's our two new ones. When we hover over, our little button's going to pop down and we can click on it. So there you go, guys. There's a nice little Elementor hover effect image to drop down button on hover. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.